Hey y'all, it's Ash. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience with a legal MLM. So it was a legal MLM in two ways. First of all, it was a law services MLM, and also according to the people involved, it was operated and formed legally. I didn't stick around long enough to figure out if that was the case or do any research on it. I think once I heard MLM and then just saw how things operated, I was like, no, thank you. So how I found this was, as y'all probably know, I have my own law firm, Ash Jarrett Law. Always, link it in the description box below if you want to check it out. But yeah, so I have my own law firm, but I was looking for some side work, trying to get, a little bit more experience. There were certain things that I didn't feel confident in yet. And thanks to Ohio's lawyer, I think it's mentor, I don't know if it's lawyer to mentor or something, their mentoring program, I have a mentor who's like amazing and just helping me get more comfortable with that stuff. So I ended up not needing it anyways, but at the time I was looking for a little bit more legal experience as well as a more steady income. So I was on I also don't want to say the name of this job search site. I don't want to say anybody's names here, but I was on this job search site looking for a part-time, remote, super flexible job. Came across this law firm that was local, so I knew that, my Ohio law license would, I would be allowed to work there, right? Because there's some law firms that I found where it was in California or New Jersey, and I'm not barred to practice in California. I don't believe I can. I scored high enough to practice in any UBE jurisdiction if I, get admitted, but I haven't done that yet. So I was looking for more Ohio law firms. This was an Ohio law firm. I was like, this looks awesome. It's part-time. It's flexible, fully remote. Pay was a little low, but I was like, it's part-time. I don't really need anything. And it was actually, the pay listed was really good for part-time. Turns out the pay that they listed was for if I was working full-time. So I was making half of what was listed. So anyways, I applied to this and I was really interested. So I kind of reached out. I think one of the partners reached out to me and told me to contact them about setting up an interview. And that was kind of weird because I'd made a LinkedIn post like, hey, I'm looking for part-time side work. And I'd also applied to this firm on and then he reached out to me on LinkedIn and was like, hey, message me. I think we may have something for you. I was like, I already applied, but okay. So I emailed him and his assistant set up an interview, like a Zoom interview, because I don't live in the area where the law firm was. And I think he would have done a Zoom interview anyways, but I'm not sure. So we do a Zoom interview and I'm, getting prepared for an interview. And he goes, this isn't an interview, we're just going to talk. And I was like, oh, he's just being nice. He's just trying to calm me down or whatever. And then he launches into why I should work for this firm, why the MLM that they're associated with is so amazing. And really before I even talk, offers me a job, a certain type of attorney job, and that I didn't necessarily want. So I was already disappointed, but so he asked me a few questions. He asked me kind of about my background, what type of law I do, why I decided to start my own practice, how I got into those types of law, that sort of thing. But he spent probably 90% of the hour convincing me to take this job and to work for them and why this law firm was so amazing. So it was pretty much an hour-long sales pitch. Which at the time I was like, this is amazing, I didn't have to talk. But I was like, I'll talk it over with my husband, and I did, and he was like, well, it's still part-time, remote, flexible. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. Ended up, we went back and forth. I tried to negotiate salary. It was very low for an attorney, extremely low for an attorney. I would say it's probably, around what I'll put it this way. It's slightly higher than what college students get paid at Disney. So the Disney college program, it's about, it's less than $10 more than that. So it's very low for an attorney. I charge $150 an hour, which is standard for a solo practice attorney. That's actually pretty low for a solo practice attorney in my area. And this was not even close to 100. So I was like, but you know what? It's remote. It's flexible. It's all that. I kept saying that in my head. So I decided to try it out. Training was a week. And as soon as I start training, it's a different guy. He launches into, yes, it's an MLM, but it's legal. And we help people and all this stuff. So I start listening, and he's like, what are you comfortable doing? And I'm like, well, and I had asked, I've been like, is there mentors? Is there, like, I'm this brand new attorney, and like, I'm here for legal experience. Like, who's gonna teach me and help me? Like, how am I gonna learn? You know? And they're like, oh, we don't do that here. You're just doing what you're comfortable with. And I'm like, well, then why am I here? You know? And what it was is they basically wanted me to be a call center, a legal call center. And people would submit requests or call me, and I would answer legal questions. So that was the job, which is not lawyering work. If you're an attorney or if you're a law student, you know, that's not really lawyering. That's, you know, legal advising, but I do that in my law firm, so I didn't really need that. And just, you have to read the plans to know what people, you know, get out of their plan. And they preached this, we do this with empathy and kindness, and we are helping people who can't afford attorneys. And then I see people rolling their eyes while they're on the phone with these clients and like making comments afterwards, you know, about these people. And I'm not going to go into specifics, but just making like really nasty comments, in my opinion, and just making faces and stuff. And I was like, this is not something where I'm not getting legal experience. I'm not helping people, like you said, like people who can't afford legal experience. It was just not great. So after training, I decided that I did not want to work for them. And I sent them an email, basically. I also saw, this is one of the reasons I decided to not do this job, but sent an email saying, hey, you guys aren't giving me legal experience. The pay is like a high schooler could make this. You know, I'm not helping people. I'm not doing anything good, even though that's what you said. It's an MLM. And also, the trainer had his emails open while he was screen sharing on Zoom and had been talking smack about me to one of the law staff. And the lady that he had emailed were like being nasty. They were nasty to their clients. They were nasty to me. I was like, nah. You know, it was such a terrible, you know, situation. 0 out of 10. Be careful when you're looking for jobs. Yeah, so it sucked. I already didn't like it when I started, so maybe that's why he was being nasty to me, because he knew I was gonna not go through with the training. I did get paid for the training, but I had to ask them for it, because it would have been illegal if they wouldn't have paid me. But I don't think they were going to pay me until I said something. So it was 0 out of 10 experience. Talked to my mentor about it. She was like, that was sketchy as hell. And she was like, just don't do side work. Just focus on your firm. Just build your firm. And after that experience, I'm like, girl, okay. Like, yes, ma'am. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Don't do any MLMs, legal MLMs, whatever. I don't care. You could probably look up what this company is called. Avoid them at all costs. I'm not going to say it because, you know, I don't want to defame them. But, you know, if you wanted to find it, I'm sure you could. So, yeah, it was not great. 0 out of 10 experience, once again. I've rated it like 300 times, but I want to emphasize it was a really bad experience, and I would not recommend. Be very careful when you're searching online for jobs. If you go into an interview and it's like a sales pitch, just end the call. Just be like, No, thank you. No, thank you. Because why aren't you asking me questions about if I'm going to be a good fit? Like, I don't mind if people are like, hey, do you have any questions or whatever, at the end of an interview, and allow me to ask a question. You know, I think you should do that. I think it's a red flag if they don't ask you for questions. But if they spend, I think it was over an hour actually, now that I think of it, because I told my husband it wouldn't take more than an hour and to come home in an hour. And I think I was like panicking because I was like, oh my gosh, we've gone over an hour. He really did 90% of the time talking and pitching me this job. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Yeah, but I tried. And if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And it was. So, yeah. Sorry this is so long. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this was interesting, helpful, whatever. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.